All right. Hi, everybody. Hope you guys are doing well tonight. I'm just jumping on because I wanted to share 3 tips with all of you on how to feel connected and confident when you're either working with kids or at home and parenting. So whatever circumstances that suit you the most. I was just sharing some of this information actually yesterday with a speech pathologist. And she doesn't have kids. And for her, she was able to use these things in the office when she's dealing with children who are maybe disengaged, maybe they're not motivated to learn, maybe they instructional control, so the obedience level is really low. These were excellent tips for her as well. So anyway, so they suit everyone. Now, before I dive in, I'm not sure how good the connection is. It was really dodgy. I tried another place in my house to see if it would work. It didn't seem to get any better. So please just comment below and let me know if I need to turn it off and start again. I'm not sure if it's going to make any difference, but I'm happy to do that if I need to. Okay, all right. So also, one more thing is I just wanted to say a quick word to the people who are in Florida right now and surrounding areas as well, because Irma's on its way, and that's where my family are. I have a lot of family and friends there. I know that a lot of people in this group are in Florida and are currently evacuating with their families, and that's really scary. So I just want to say that my thoughts are with you all. And please, if you know someone in Florida or in that area, why don't you send them a text? Why don't you just ring them and just check in on them? You know, just to say, hi, I'm thinking about you, something, anything. Do you need anything? Because just being all the way in Sydney, Australia, when my friends and family are going through this is just very, very difficult for me right now. Not that I want to think about how things are difficult for me. I just mean that I'm just really worried. I'm really worried about them right now. So if you do have friends and family out there, please send them a text message. Please send them some love. Let them know that you're thinking about them, because sometimes little things like that can go a really long way. So anyway, so I don't mean to start off with a downer. I definitely don't, but stay safe, guys, and I can't wait to hear from you when this all blows over, because I imagine it's going to be a bit difficult to communicate for a while. Okay, so let's dive into my 3 quick tips. I'm trying to do this in under 5 minutes, guys, so I'm talking faster than normal. That's saying a lot because I talk very quickly, but I'm going to share these tips, and then I'm going to jump off because last time I took way too long, and I think not everyone enjoyed how much I talk. So let's get to it then. All right, so tip number 1 is to take the time to understand your child's development. Now, this might mean taking a course. This might mean, studying. This might mean hiring a professional to teach you. It doesn't matter what it takes, but do it. It is so worth it to understand what is going on in their little brains. Even, it doesn't really matter whether their behavior is difficult or lovely. No matter what, it's wonderful to know what's going on, in their brains and what's going on developmentally for them and where they are with their cognitive development, their emotional development, their social development. Now, the reason why this is so important is not only does it, of course, it's always good to grow our own knowledge. Of course it is. But what's more than that is it really takes away the personal, emotional, what is that grittiness that comes between us and kids? As soon as a child is defiant, as soon as a child is having a tantrum, we just get upset. Like, why are you yelling at me? Why don't you love me? Right? And it's personal. And I think that taking the time to do this step, taking the time to educate yourself and to understand their development is a wonderful way to really, really reveal that behavior is not personal. At their age, they are literally doing the best option available to them. So when we start to understand that, everything can change. So we can be more connected, we can be more supportive, because we're no longer being like, what? Why are you so mad at me? Why are you so angry all the time? And rather than blaming the kid, because that's exactly what we're doing when we get angry with a child, is we're blaming them for that behavior. When in reality, when we really understand what's going on in their brains, we start to see that it is completely natural that behavior, defiance, tantrums, nagging, as frustrating as they are natural. And under a certain age, they're not intentional either. They are literally a child doing the best option available to them based on their experiences, based on their current knowledge, their current development, and other things. So very important. So that's step number one, is to understand their development. The next thing, the next step to that, all parents, I think, anyone working with kids should be taking these steps consistently, constantly bettering themselves. And I think the second step is taking the time to define their drive. What is motivating that behavior? So initially, the motivation might have been something completely different than it is now. Behavior is very fluid. It's very adaptive to whatever is going on around us. When we can understand that, and when we can actually take the time to define why the behavior is happening, what's the purpose? What's the function? What need is it meeting with your child? Because it is. There is a reason it's happening. All behavior has a purpose, especially the annoying behavior, especially that. It all has a purpose. There's a reason it's happening. And when you take the time to define that purpose, then you become empowered, like immediately. You know why? Because then you can fix it. Then not fix, but then you can solve the issue. You can resolve it. And all of that comes through knowledge, through really defining what is driving that behavior in the first place. So without this step, by the way, without these two steps, so without understanding your child's development, so knowing where they are at developmentally, not intentional, natural behaviors, without understanding that, and then without taking the time to define, why is this happening? What changed lately? What might be evoking this, or what's causing this to continue to happen? When we take the time to do those two things, then you set yourself up for success, because without them, your consequences are not going to be effective. So you might be wondering, I use timeout, and I use response cost, or I take away privileges, I should say. I use grounding. I use all these things. Oh, I use planned ignoring. I ignore all the time, but it doesn't work, and I don't know why. That's why. It's that simple. It's that simple. As soon as you understand how to define the drive behind a child's behavior, how to identify that function and that purpose, then, and only then, can you actually make real change. Okay? So your consequences, whatever they are, whether, and by the way, this is good behavior or unwanted behavior, it doesn't really matter. It still reigns true for both sides. So once you understand the purpose and the function behind behavior, then you know that your responses and your consequences are going to have a real effect. Okay, so that's my second tip. All right, now my third tip is to follow the evidence and to use effective disciplinary techniques instead of always using what feels easy. It's interesting because it's not that it feels good. We don't like to yell. We don't like to be mad. We don't like to send our kid to the room, get out of here. Of course not. But it's easy because we're so emotionally triggered. We're so frustrated. We're so upset. Just cut it out. Yelling, cut it out, is the easier step than the other two. It's easier than really studying this stuff and understanding it and applying it by defining motivation and behaviors, and then actually learning techniques and using them, right? So those are my 3 steps. Okay, so I'm probably going on a little too long, but I don't see any comments, so I don't feel like I'm talking too much, hopefully. All right, so those are my 3 steps. So the first thing is to take the time to understand your child's development, because challenging behaviors, especially under 7 years old, are not intentional. They are completely natural. And your child is behaving exactly the way their brain is supposed to, even though it's really hard, all right? But there is a way to resolve the stress. There is a way to overcome the overwhelm that we get when we're frustrated and don't know what to do with those kids. And what is that? Defining the purpose and function behind the behavior. Once you do that, everything changes. Once you know why the behavior is happening, you can truly make effective decisions with your consequences and not doubt yourself and not question what you're doing. You are calm, you are confident because you know your stuff, all right? And then the third thing is to follow evidence-based disciplinary techniques. And I know that that might be where I lose people because a lot of people don't want to hear that there should be consequences that are punishing. But I want to remind you, if you haven't been watching me for a long time, then you might not know this, but I'm going to throw it out there, that behavior science defines punishment as any consequence that decreases a behavior. Evidence has shown time and time again that bullying, shaming, spanking, sending kids to timeout for no reason or because it's the easier thing to do, right? None of that works long term. There is an actual formula to using gentle discipline that focuses on connection. I know it sounds cheesy. It almost sounds like it's too good to be true, but it's not. I've been doing this for over 13 years. I've been working with so many families, and I'm telling you right now that it is true. Connection comes before your correction. And how do you get to that point? You get to that point by knowing your development of your child. You get to that point by defining motivation. You get to that point by doing those steps that I shared. Okay, so those are my 3 quick tips for you guys, okay? If you want to learn more, if you're watching this and you're like, we're on the same page, I feel very in line with this chick right now, then please check out my membership because it is launching this week. I've been working on it for months. I'm very excited to finally have this available to you guys. There's more information at stephaniewicker.com. You go to the header, just click Become a Member, and it'll take you right down to the information so you can kind of get an idea of what to expect. All right? And right now, for the rest of the month, you join, you get 30 days free access to decide whether or not you like it or not. Okay? All right, so leave your questions below. I really want to hear some responses. Have a good night.